to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I'm recording the meeting, so anyone, if your comments, please state your name for the record. We need to approve the June 3rd meeting minutes because you were not here and Glenn was, but so we need you and Carl to approve the minutes of it. The Watts Township Board of Supervisors meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. on June 3rd, 2015 at the New Buffalo Fire Hall by Chairman Carl Radinsky. A motion was made to approve the March 18, 2015 minutes as read. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. A motion was made to approve the minutes as read. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. Solicitor Pinnacle read the adjudication of the appeal hearing on April 10, 2015 of Mark C. Hunter and Mardella Hunter regarding the Luke Step driveway permit number 2014-4-1B. Glenn Smithgall did not participate in this proceeding as he has recused himself. A motion was made to approve the adjudication and deny the appeal. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. Mark Hunter asked a question regarding the denial, to which he was told it's a legal matter for him to take to his attorney by Solicitor Pinnacle. A motion was made to take further action to the District Justice on the Posick matter. Gutow, Radinsky, motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Megan Thorpe from Representative Tuplett's office addressed the board, providing information on some of the services his office provides. Brian Reifsnyder questioned Supervisor Gutow receiving pay for cleanup day when the Board of Auditors did not set the working supervisor's pay rate for 2015. Secretary Conjoli explained that the last meeting of the Board of Auditors was 2014. Solicitor Pinnacle will look into the issue. He also questioned how the supervisors were being paid without an ordinance being in place, referring to his right to know request in February. A motion was made to have Solicitor Pinnacle look into those two issues. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. Zoning Officer, 3 permits have been issued. He provided a letter to the board requesting their support of a traffic study for the Route 1115 traffic corridor from the eastern end of the Clarks Ferry Bridge on Route 22322 in Reed Township, Dauphin County, through the 1115 exchange at the Perry County line through Watts Township to south of Notch Road. The Tri-County Planning Commission is requesting this letter to get funding for the study. A motion was made to provide a letter of support to the Tri-County Planning Commission. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. Engineer, Jerry reported he should have the package ready to send for the general permit for the stream bed at the firehouse next week. Bixler Lane water runoff, there is an E&S plan in place. He will check this week to be sure everything is in place. Fire Company, the monthly financial report was submitted. Ambrose Quigley has talked with PennDOT regarding the closing of the Buffalo Creek Bridge. The work is slated for 2016. Old business. Status of Saldo. Secretary Conjoli has made all the revisions and sent to Jerry for a review. There is a section the Secretary would like to discuss with him at a later date. Audit 2013-14. The ad has been placed stating the intention of the Township to appoint a CPA. There will be a special meeting June 16, 2015 at 6 p.m. in the Municipal Building. A motion was made to appoint Sean Crumlich to the position of auditor for 2015 and advertise the organizational meeting for June 16, 2015 at 4 p.m. in the Municipal Building. Gutow, Radinsky, motion carried unanimously. Act 537 plan, Lucas Parks has conveyed that DEP wants a kickoff meeting in middle of July with the supervisors and EAD group only at this point. Lucas Parks plans on attending the July meeting. Wireless Facilities Regulation Project. Bob Hart has done research on the issue and believes it would be a good idea to strengthen that section of the zoning ordinance. Researching what other municipalities' regulations was discussed. Brian Reifsnyder questioned whether Section 45 of the zoning ordinance covers the issue. Bob responded that it does not cover the cable company's poles or PPL's poles. New business, a motion was made to establish a petty cash fund of $50. Gutow, Radinsky, motion carried unanimously. A motion was made to adopt Resolution 15-04, declaring the Township's intent to follow the schedules and procedures for disposition of records in the Municipal Records Manual of December 16, 2008. Radinsky, Gutow, motion carried unanimously. Roadmaster, the road bids for Circle Road, Lowtown Road, and Notch Cul-de-sac were open. The results were J. Falk Road and Sons, Super Pave, $164,746.40. Ham Makers FB Modified, $187,980. Eastern Industries Super Paid, $185,160. A motion was made to award the bid at a special meeting to be advertised for June 16, 2015, in the municipal building at 6 p.m. Rudinsky agreed to our motion carried unanimously. Ambrose Quigley informed the board of the conditions of Monter Road. Planning Commission, Joe Burgett Jr. presented the Hilltop Oil Company plan to the board. A motion was made to approve the waivers of Section 304/305, preliminary plat procedures/specifications, Section 307.1, sheet size, Section 307.1.k, parent track scale, and Section 307.1.x.2, showing proposed building. Rudinsky, Gutau, motion carried unanimously. A motion was made to conditionally approve the plan upon required signatures. Gutau, Rudinsky, motion carried unanimously. A motion was made to pay the bills with the exception of checks 5645, 5646, 5647, and 5650, and any bills that come due before the next meeting. Gutau, Rudinsky, motion carried unanimously. A motion was made to adjourn the meeting. Rudinsky, Gutau, motion carried unanimously.
Make a motion, shift the minutes, approve the
And I'll second that motion. We can't do the July 1st minutes because you weren't here and Glenn was, but now Glenn's not here and you are. So we have to table those.
Excuse me, Linda Heffenfinger. I can't understand why whenever there's two supervisors here, that you can't approve the minutes because it's a quorum, which is 2 out of 3, and they do it up at the New Bloomfield Commissioner's office all the time.
The issue isn't the fact that there is a quorum, it's just that one of the two that were not present when that meeting occurred. And that's why they're delaying the approval of those minutes.
I still don't understand why, because there's 2 out of 3. And that's what the book says, 2 out of 3.
Correct, but I've seen it where the person that wasn't there hesitates to approve the minutes when they were not present.
We've seen it too, and they stayed the way they were.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, public comments.
He's not Lucas, he's Kyle.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kyle Fritz. After last month's meeting, Carl, Lucas, and I, we went and we met with the EP. Overall, the meeting, it went well, but we found out some things where we had to change the scope of what we originally were looking at doing. A couple of things that came out of that, just on that front sheet that I have there. The proposed plan, originally we were thinking it was going to be a minor update revision to either the county plan and the 2004 plan that was done just in the New Buffalo area. That's not necessarily the case. This plan is going to be a standalone plan that's going to encompass the entire township. Okay, that's basically what DEP is looking for there. They want us to look at the rural areas and the urbanized areas, the areas closer to New Buffalo. Sampling on this plan, originally we were going to do window surveys and we were going to send out mailers. Since it's a township-wide plan, you have to do a tier 1 approach, okay? Basically what that says is 15% of the residents of the households have to be sampled. We have to do well sampling to make sure their water quality is not being affected by their online systems. And we have to do visual inspections. We have to physically show up to the house, knock on the door, ask a series of questions. We'll put a questionnaire together, fill it out, look at their existing online system, see if we see any malfunctions, and go from there. When we do the sampling, you do a minimum of 15%. Once we get the results back, as long as it looks clear, we're good to move forward. If there are certain areas in question, DEP will require us to do more sampling to see if there's actually an issue there. So that's one of the big things that we found out at the meeting. The other thing is the sewage disposal needs study, which is part of the 537 plan. That's pretty standard. in cases I've seen it where you can do that just in areas where public sewage is feasible, they want this study to encompass the whole township. So we need to look at everybody and say, what's the most financially feasible and what's giving us the best quality of water, township-wide. The next thing for the online management plans, just a comment that they made at the meeting. It wasn't a requirement, it was just a comment that they made. I asked if it seems like the average years between having to have your online system inspected is about 5. They said they've seen it around 3 lately. Not saying that's what you guys have to do, that's just a piece of information I'm bringing back from the meeting. At the end of the day, when you guys do your online ordinance, it'll be up to you what you decide to do. One point that they brought up was they want us to be looking at the areas close to New Buffalo, if there's any places that it makes sense to tie in where, financially and otherwise. If that's the case, if it's going to be more feasible to tie in, they recommended getting an intermunicipal agreement with New Buffalo Borough. And that's if there's going to be connections in the future, you're going to want to have that in place. Who owns the line once it's installed? Who's maintaining it? Is it your guys' responsibility? Is it their responsibility? And that's something that we'll get to as the plan evolves. As
When you say their responsibility?
New Buffalo Borough,
Okay.
whether it's theirs or if it's
Okay.
Watts Township. And that isn't something we have to tackle right away. That'll be something in the months to come. After that, we talked a little bit about funding, what type of options are out there. They did say DEP funding technically is out there, but don't get your hopes up. Don't hold your breath on it. We can apply for it. That's no problem. But they said definitely don't bank on that. The other option, the DCED funding, that's still out there as well. That's the application that was submitted before, but at that time we did not have an approved task activity report. If the board decides to approve this one and we submit it, it only takes like 1 to 2 weeks for DEP to look it over and say good or no. At that time, we would then be able to apply for the DCED funding there. So the last thing is where we're at right now. Attached to this front sheet is the revised task activity report based on the meeting and the change in scope that we came up with. If you guys are good with it, it needs to be signed and approved tonight. And then talking to Linus, we would give him basically an amendment to the agreement that would include this task activity report, and we'd go from there.
And the revised edition, is there, I'm assuming it's an additional
Right.
fee attached to it?
Right. Basically, what it comes down to is the scope increased, and the sampling is really what increased. Having to physically knock on the doors, take the water samples, do the visual samples, and it's all on that second sheet that's behind that first one there. There's a breakdown there. The other thing that I added, this sheet is an estimate that DEP requires. You have to submit it to them, okay? Included in the cost is an estimate that I came up with legal fees. It's basically what I've seen in the past, what the costs are. You're not holding the legal fees or anything like that. When we do the addendum to the agreement, the engineer agreement, I'll take them out of there, and the final number will just show our fees. That's how we'll do the addendum to the agreement.
Just a couple of quickie questions.
Yeah.
And that is, in terms of what, it's well sampling, and then at this point.
Well, we would do, the well sampling is the water wells.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yep.
And then septic sampling
Right.
as well.
Yeah, so for instance, say there are wildcat sewers out there where there's multiple houses tied together and then it goes to a stream. What they'd want to see is they would want to see dye tablets flushed and then taking pictures of where it's coming out into the stream to prove that it's a physical inspection, you verified it. Originally we were going to do just the mailers, so we would be taking the people's words at it for what it was and doing the window survey, which basically is a drive-by looking to see if you can see anything quick. And they,
I'm sorry.
and and they will not accept that as the sole survey.
And what's their timeline that they're talking about, this 15% sampling that?
Well, there isn't a timeline necessarily on 15% sampling, but the entire plan has to be submitted by the end of next year.
Okay, so they,
So, I mean, we gotta get the sampling done whenever we can.
okay,
If this gets approved by DEP, we'll start running with it as soon as that takes place. And then, completing this by the end of next year is absolutely feasible, but it's tight. We'll be moving quickly with it.
okay. And as far as, I mean, this is something we can talk about at a later point in time, is the jurisdiction as to how the areas are selected to, well, you said closest to New Buffalo is kind of.
Right, and I don't want to speak before we dive into it too much,
Okay,
but,
and that's fine, that's fine.
okay, but basically, we just have to outline the different basins and go from there.
Okay. All the questions I have, I think.
This part of 537.
Yeah.
I have a question. What caused DEP to want to upgrade the severity of this?
In 2004, the township did the 537 plan that was strictly around New Buffalo to determine whether it made sense for some township people to tie into any of the plan. That Act 537 plan wasn't a complete plan, and DEP approved that pending the submission of a township-wide plan within 5 years. And obviously, that's been let go now.
Okay, and the other question I had is, can they, if they find properties in the New Buffalo area that fail, can they force us to join or use the sewage, or can we somehow have those properties in some manner upgrade their on-lot sewage?
Do you mean townships, I'm sorry, do you mean properties in Watts that are close to
In
New
Watts,
Buffalo?
yes. Can they force Watts Township properties to tie into New Buffalo? Or can we, as a township, somehow work out something with those properties to upgrade their on-lot sewage so we don't have to tie in?
And this is all part of the plan. DEP isn't the one that would be forcing you to tie in, okay? So the township creates the plan, and we really create it together as we move forward.
Okay.
We have to do a feasibility study township-wide, okay, of what makes sense. And we'll break it down into basins, areas that are close to existing public sewage, areas that are rural, and we'll look at it and see what makes sense. If it comes back to be financially feasible and there's an existing issue in place, at that point, it's going to lead to tying into the public sewer, if that's the case.
Well, my only question is, can we, I want to, as a citizen, a taxpayer, to avoid being tied into something that might fail and then
Right.
put that failure on our taxpayers.
Right, and two things on that. First off, the 537 plan that was completed in 2004, they had to complete 50% well sampling, okay? Of the 50%, I think only one came back that had an issue. So as of 2004, there is no red flag in that area. And they are allowing us to use that sampling information as part of this plan.
We don't have to do that area again,
The sampling? What do you mean by that? You mean?
You're just saying the sampling we did then is gonna go towards our 15%.
Correct.
So if we get 50% in that area, that's.
But it was only 34 houses out of 450.
It still counts.
Yeah, I mean, it helped.
Are you saying that there's absolutely no other option if the sewage, we have a bad sewage cluster
No, and that's,
in close to the plant?
and that's the second part I want to hit on. Part of this plan, you have to do a public hearing period before it becomes implemented, okay? So say it comes back and just say it's more feasible to tie in, okay? At that point, it has to be put out in the paper and the public has a chance to voice their opinion if it comes down to that. And that would be the time to discuss that.
And is that enough to convince DEP? Public just doesn't want it, and that's not gonna be.
It would, And that all, if they can't afford their own thing?
There's not enough people there.
Well, and
They're not
that,
taking, they're already in town.
and all that gets looked at as part of that feasibility study. Look at the existing system that's in place, can it handle it, does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense financially, it's not going to come out to be.
Are there like on-lot package treatment plants?
There are.
Individuals that could take the place of the public sewage or
And you look at,
cluster?
you look at all that, you look at tying into existing, you look at building a new on-lot stuff, it all does get looked at, yes.
But those on-lot package ones are feasible also.
Well, you have to look at that and cost that out. If it costs every homeowner $20,000 to put in, I'm just throwing a number out, to put an on-lot system in, that's not gonna be.
I had one other question. Are you saying that we're going to get an additional bill now because of DEP's new requirements?
No, I'm not saying that.
We're still in the contract price
For
for the 537?
the price is the bid increase since we had our meeting on the 22nd of July, and the scope change.
The scope change, so
Yep.
part of my question is, and don't take this too rudely,
Yeah.
but you guys knew that they wanted a countywide plan done,
The
or a
original,
township-wide plan.
the original proposal was for an update to that plan in 2004. And that's what we submitted on that. We had to submit an initial test activity
Right,
for
but
it.
that's not what the contract, that's not what the 2004 plan said. And you were given a copy of the 2004 plan and the results that DEP sent to us. So you should have been aware that said that we needed a township-wide plan.
When we submitted all the proposals for an update to the existing plan.
Excuse me, Linda Heffenfinger, if, I don't know if I heard this correctly or not, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. You said that DEP and the township made some type of agreement. What was that agreement?
You talking about from the
From New
2004?
Buffalo to here, yeah.
From the 2004 plan?
Mhm.
The 2004 plan was accepted with the bullet point in there that said within 5 years, the township has to complete a plan, an Act 537 plan of the entire township. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, but we didn't know anything about that back then, and still a lot of people in this township don't know about it,
Well,
which is sad.
Yeah, I wasn't around back then.
But I just wondered what type of agreement DEP had made with our township supervisors to, depending on what happens here, this is what we do. What's the part that we're supposed to be responsible for, and what are we supposed to be doing?
Well, right now, you're responsible for completing this plan and getting it submitted because it was supposed to be in back in 2009.
Okay, now this is the Act
537.
537.
Mhm.
Well, we have a gentleman sitting here in our front row that is supposed to be, he was appointed as a member of that and has never once been addressed anything that's going on. Nothing's been shared with him, any meetings, if they were held, he was not included.
Yeah, when does the Act 537 committee even get involved in this?
I'd have to direct that to the board. Or you mean, when would the 537 plan be involved with creating the plan itself?
No, the committee. I'm part of the Act 537 committee that Linda was just referring to.
Okay.
And there's
And we
3
were-
members, though I don't know who the other 2 are, and I was appointed last year.
The only
We were told we were only allowed to have 3 people on that committee too, after we were told as many people as wanted to be on that committee could be
Right.
appointed, but that changed.
Just so you know, the only meeting that's taking place is one that.
Okay.
On the 22nd, yeah.
Pardon?
The meeting on July 22nd, that was the first meeting that took place with DEP,
And
okay?
that was for supervisors only anyway, that was,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
not for.
They want to deal strictly with the supervisors.
Why do you do strictly with the supervisors, since it involves everybody in the resident of the township?
I can't answer that.
That's what I'd like to know.
The question is, I think the simple question is, when's the committee going to get involved?
Yeah.
We have a
But-
committee
Right.
that's supposed to be.
Right.
helping you and so-
Basically, once DEP approves the plan that'll be submitted, okay? That's our plan, telling them this is exactly what's gonna take place, this is how we're gonna create the plan, okay? Once they approve that, then really the work on the plan begins. At that point, when we start doing the feasibility studies, sending the letters out, taking the sampling, we will keep everybody in the loop on what we're coming up with and how it's going. Before anything gets submitted, before any real decision is made.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
We have as residents,
Yeah,
citizens,
yeah.
do we have a say in what is going
Yeah.
on in that?
No part of the plan will be submitted without going over that first.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, we've,
Fair enough.
I have one comment to the board. It would seem reasonable, under the conditions that that contract was signed with them and the information that was given to them that's clearly stated we had to do it countywide. I think it might be wise to have our solicitor look in to see if we have any, if we have to pay more, if we have any way to wiggle out of it, whatever. But that would be the board's decision, just to check into it.
The original contract, it is.
She referred to me, that means you can't approve it tonight. They want to move forward, it's up to you. We're not sure.
They have to do additional work. I mean,
It's additional work that's
they didn't
beyond.
know that they had to do a whole new plan. I mean, you base this on the,
it was gonna be an
Update.
update revision, yeah, and in the RFP, I have a copy of the
yeah, I mean, the
request for
RFP
proposal
should
where
tell you.
it's specifically, let me get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we have copies of the paperwork?
You met
The agreement and everything, we want.
Yeah, we want to
Right.
see all this.
you have to approve that.
That's all right to know.
Put it in the form of an addendum.
Because we know nothing about it,
Wait till next month.
nothing. So if we submitted something without going to us, it's a legal contract.
Is there any danger in putting this off?
Yeah, that's my question. That's just not like they're going against the people to even put the storage in the first place.
Well, in the request for proposal, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but someone in the township wrote it, one of the bullet points, scope of work, specifications, and requirements. The selected consultant shall analyze the existing approved Act 537 sewage facility plan and determine what portions of the plan must be or are recommended to be updated and formulate a plan for the update. And this is not an update.
Right.
I don't think anybody understood at the time
Yeah.
that that just dealt with
Yes,
New
but
Buffalo Borough.
you have to understand that the only plan that was in place when that contract was made, when that RFP was made, was the partial plan around the borough, and everybody knew it, including every engineer who looked at it. That was the only plan that was out there. We had never done any other plan, so we update that plan, and that plan specifically said, the approval of that area said, you have to do the whole township. So in my view, it's a gray area, and that's all I'm saying. It seems to me that the submitting firms should have been aware.
Refer it to me, look at it. You can call a special meeting if you want to, that's up to you. Or you can approve the additional monies tonight.
Yeah.
Additional, or, okay, that's fine. Just make a motion, refer it to me to look at.
I'm making a motion to refer everything to Linus to look at and bring it up before we approve anything else.
And then I just might want to add to that motion that if need be, we can create a special meeting for after lunch
But it
that
should be approved of, yeah.
we can approve something, at least that, we don't have to wait till next month then. So I'd like to make sure that we put that in the motion. So,
Okay, I made a motion second.
okay, and I'm seconding that.
Excuse me,
Go ahead.
why do we have to have a special meeting whenever you have a special meeting, there's only a handful of people that come there? And if you have it at a regular meeting, we could fill this room.
Well, because, number one, because we're under the gun, our choices are either to make this approval tonight.
You just put yourselves
Which-
under the gun.
What?
You just put yourselves under the gun.
Well,
I mean, we were against this whole ordeal when it got started.
This is a DEP requirement. There is no choice. There is no choice. It has to be done. The supervisors are going to have to do it, and there is now an additional amount that DEP said has to be done that doesn't appear to be included in the original contract. They're referring it to me to look at. If there is a special meeting, it's an advertised meeting. Everybody will be invited. So there will be no action taken without a special meeting being called.
Okay, if it's a special meeting, could it be at the firehouse at a normal time as opposed to, say, 9 a.m. or something like that?
It'll be when they can advertise and get a special meeting of the supervisors present. That's
Oh,
what
that's
it's
fine.
up
I'm
to
just
the
saying
board-
it needs
It's up
to
to the board to
be,
decide that.
it needs to be where people can actually attend and at a time that is convenient, not at like 9 a.m. in the morning.
Not while they're working.
Am I not correct that there are fines and penalties if the township does not comply with the DEP requirement?
There is. I mean, this is the DEP mandates what has to be done here. I'm going to look at this contract that was originally entered into, but DEP is the mandating authority of what a township has to do. And I will look at this. Nothing will be voted on unless there's a special meeting.
We all understand that, but we want everybody in this township to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And how it's gonna
I think that
affect-
the township will be made aware as you go through this process.
And we're asking just that the meeting be held at a time that people can actually attend it.
In the evening.
Okay, in the evening.
Yeah, okay, move on.
I'd just like to ask the solicitor to explain to us
Okay.
how
honest,
you can make a decision to set a meeting time outside of a public meeting.
You can do that. You can call a special meeting outside of a public meeting. You're allowed to do that under the Sunshine Law.
You can call the special meeting, but
Correct.
you have to announce the time at a public meeting.
No, you do
You don't.
not. You do not. The supervisors will have to be notified that there's going to be a special meeting. It has to be properly advertised, and it can be done.
The supervisors have to be notified.
Well, all three supervisors, one person can't just call it. It has to
So
be
you can
done.
call it in the middle of no. of the
Yes,
month.
but it has to be advertised.
Go ahead, Linus, with that.
Yeah, I need to, I have a few items that I need to address that I've been working on. The Hunt appeal has been filed, and the record has been filed with the court. That is pending. That's the Hunt appeal of the step driveway permit. That's simply before the Court of Common Pleas of Perry County at this point in time. The Bezoit matter, a district justice hearing has been set sometime in September for that. That will be handled in that manner. I believe the auditor issue of setting the supervisor's salary, I believe maybe the auditors have already met, done that, but in that situation, the last auditor's meeting, the dollars set at that meeting would control. I think we've talked about that. There was an issue, I believe, on the auditor position in regard to the wife of the zoning officer, I believe, being an auditor, and a provision in the second-class township code reflecting that a auditor can't be involved directly, cannot be financially interested directly or indirectly in any township transaction. It is my opinion, after looking at this entire matter, the appointment of the auditor, when the appointment of the township zoning officer occurred, the fact that my understanding, the auditors aren't even auditing the books at this point in time, that is going to be done by an independent CPA. I don't believe there is any violation of that section. That's my opinion. There was also an issue on supervisor compensation. From what I can review, and what I have reviewed, there have been historical changes to that law as it has evolved since, I believe, 1933. The original provisions allowed the auditors to set supervisor compensation. That appears to be what was done in this township. There were subsequent changes to the law that said that it should be done by ordinance, but that the prior law, until the ordinance is adopted, stood pat. So auditors that set compensation, that would still control. Now, there aren't a whole lot of records available in this township at this point. There was one auditor document that we read where the auditors did set the compensation. And like I said, the prior laws allowed the auditors a change in the law saying ordinance should be adopted, but whatever, until the ordinances are adopted, prior law controls. This township certainly has the right to adopt an ordinance. Like I said, there's a lack of documents that we could find on this issue. I believe, Nancy, you looked through all the records, and the documents are lacking, whether they were there or not there. At this point in time, the township certainly has the right to adopt an ordinance. It would apply to all incoming supervisors, new supervisors when they take their terms. However, like I said, the old laws historically allowed the auditors to set these per meeting compensation. It's just a lack of documentation that could be found from the township records. It will be up to the supervisors if they want to authorize the adoption of an ordinance. That's what I've been able to find at this point. So. And one other item, the SALDO, the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance. Once the ordinance is ready then it should be referred to the Township Planning Commission. It should be referred to the County Planning Commission for their comments. After you receive all those comments, you can decide what you're going to do. The Board of Supervisors must hold a public hearing. So the first step would be to refer it to the respective planning commissions for their review.
Would you like a motion to be made?
That motion should be made to refer it to the respective planning commissions, the county and the township, once it is in, if you're ready to do that.
Do you feel that that's something we should? Okay. All right, then I'll make a motion to send the SALDO to the Watts Township Planning Commission and to the Perry County Planning Commission for their comments and review. Second. Aye.
So that's.
Those are the items I looked at.
I have a question on just one of the items. You said at the last auditors meeting, they set the salary for the supes who worked on the road crew, so on. Isn't it required to be set yearly at the annual auditors?
If there are no auditors in place, I would be my opinion, you just go back to the prior auditors' last meeting. They would have to stay at the same level. I think there are a lot of townships that are faced with the lack of auditors. I don't believe that prohibits the supervisors from working. You just have to use the rate that was set at the last auditor's meeting. That's my opinion. And I think that's the rate that was being used.
Go ahead. John?
John?
If I could just have a couple minutes. Sean Crumlett, couple concerns. Number one, this might be a stupid question, but is there a warranty on the lines that are painted on the roof? Because half ours are going already. Number two, the new cul-de-sac you put in is a nuisance already. We got young kids, well, I'm assuming they're young kids, I can't see them because they're in their car, throwing donuts, out there racing around all hours of the night, partying, letting trash lay. I cleaned trash up twice, I'm not gonna do it much longer. But my question is there any way maybe to put a dusted dawn light out there? We have power, there's power poles there, just a question. Might discourage them from parking there or doing whatever they're doing.
Let's look into it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's funny, because we hadn't, heretofore, and you live down there, we haven't had, that I know of, any problem since, I mean, that this is the first kind of time. we've been-
I guess they watch these movies Too Fast, Too Furious, and they think they got drift cars and just round in a circle they go.
Have they damaged the
There were a couple black marks, I mean, nothing, I don't think it done the blacktop up at all, but,
All right, we'll definitely, even trail cams or something,
yeah, something.
something that,
I mean,
if you want to stand guard, that would be okay.
I'm normally up, so, but, you call the police, and of course, they don't want to be bothered with something stupid, they got better things to do. But even with the time it would take for them to get there, they'd be going anyhow.
Right, well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, definitely look into it.
But I mean, it's, it's brand new back there, it's a nice job, but I think if maybe, we put a light there, it just might discourage them because it's not dark. You sit in the dark, nobody can see you. But, me, I just flip the lights on and, it ain't much longer they take off.
So it happens pretty much at night?
Yeah, it's late, it's normally after midnight, normally on the weekends.
Weekends always was our biggest problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Mr. Doyle with us going down many times at the dead end before the cable was across, chasing people out of there, so. That's all I had.
Just to throw this out, if I could, Sam's has got a really good deal on trail cams, $99, and I have them for deer. They work really well, and they take good shots at night for $99.
The question is, what are you gonna do with it? Take a picture of the cops.
Okay, the zoning officer.
I had one public comment also. I have the 6-month audit review, or the 6-month year-to-date budget review that was done to the end of June, apparently. And on those figures, if you add in what we paid at the July meeting, we are at $169,519 by your figures and adding in what was paid in July. Our total for the year, our total budget was $221,100. So as of the 6th month, halfway through the year, we are 53% over budget. 53%. Now, I just added in tonight's bill, as of the end of July, we are at $184,213 to August 5th, to this meeting. Our total budget is $221,100. We now have $36,887 left in the budget to spend 5 months of the year. I'm informing the board that we are in trouble. It's way, 53% of the budget, the 6-month period, we only have
The only thing I have to say
$36,000.
is, sight unseen, is if you're spending money up front and it doesn't have to be spent on the later half of the 6 months, whatever, that may come into play.
But we generally, I've served on the board, and we spend the same amount consistently all year, with the exception of the spring, when we have early spring, winter, when we still have snow plowing and things, and December, we spend money.
Okay, well,
I'm asking the board to try and form a plan to get this under control. I think it's reasonable to bring that, we only have $36,000 left to spend in the next 5 months. I think we need to get a plan in place that's going to bring that under control. I remind you that we were tens of thousands of dollars over last year. So we ate it up last year also. And it wasn't just the snow plowing. That was only a few $1,000s over. It wasn't the cul-de-sac. We budgeted for the cul-de-sac, and that was just a few $1,000s. We were nearly $40,000 over budget last year. So we need to look at it. We need to look at it now, not in December.
Right, and also, things, we don't have to spend money on things that don't come up frivolously or whatever, so. Yeah, we're spending money for.
Thank you.
okay, zoning officer.
Okay, we had 2 permits, both for Fine Line Homes. One was for a sign at the entrance to Susquehanna Highlands, and the other was for the zoning permit to build a demo home on Lot 1. The other thing I have an update on the ask for a traffic survey. Seems like magically the Tri-County Planning Commission found money to do a survey. That's all I have at the present time.
Okay, the engineer's not in attendance. Yes, the other, the fire company.
We don't have nothing this month. Our president and treasurer on vacation, so next month, we'll make sure you have 2 of them.
Okay, unfinished business, we got the States of the South,
We
the order.
discussed that, that's done.
That's going to the resolution. Okay, now we got the old records we got to dispose of.
Yes, I had mentioned this resolution last month. Pat, you weren't here. It was to destroy according to the Municipal Records Manual. Would you like me to read it again? Resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Watts Township, Perry County, Pennsylvania, that whereas by virtue of Resolution 15-04 adopted June 3rd, 2015, the Watts Township Board of Supervisors declared its intent to follow the schedules and procedures for the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal's Records Manual approved December 6, 2008. And whereas in accordance with Act 428 of 1968, each individual act of disposition shall be approved by resolution of the governing body of the municipality. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Watts Township, Perry County, Pennsylvania, in accordance with the above cited Municipal Records Manual, hereby authorizes the disposition of the following public records. Years 1996 through the end of 2007. General Fund, vendor invoices, check stubs, bank statements, check registers, deposit slips, and documentation. State Fund, vendor invoices, check stubs, bank statements, check registers, deposit slips, and documentation. Payroll, check registers, timesheets, individual earning records, quarterly payroll taxes, which are the 940s, state, local, unemployment, W-2s, 1099s. Tax collector, general and special ledgers of real estate per capita, earned income tax, EMS, which is the LST now, tax collector's monthly report to governing body, tax duplicates. Year 2008, timesheets, quarterly payroll reports, W-2s, paid delinquent per capita tax. Year 2009 and 2010, paid delinquent per capita tax, oath of municipal officials 1996 through 2007.
Excuse me, Linda Heffenfinger. I'm having a problem with this. I think that this is, you've had these records all these years. Why at this moment now, when you have a election at the end of the year?
That's nothing.
And you might, I'm just saying, you're having an election the end of the year. Why don't you just wait until the end of the year and then do something?
Well, I'd just like to ask, how much room are we talking? Are we talking
Yeah,
about
right.
boxes and boxes?
Boxes.
All right.
You know, Frank, you know the record. They
Well,
go back
I've
to,
seen-
Well,
and these
that's
things
not
are canceled checks. It's not
Do you
vendor
know,
invoices.
there were
It's
some
not-
checks that were missing and we never found them. Mhm.
Okay, I'd just like to ask you, if there's boxes and boxes, we have the whole
Upstairs.
attic above the office. Can we box them up
Yep.
and stuff them up there? I mean, just put them out of the way. You get your office space back. Apparently, that's your desire, to get some more freed up office space. It only makes sense, if we can keep them, why not keep them?
That's
They're not
right.
hurting anything if they're up
That's
there out of the
fine.
way.
That's,
As
That's
hey,
right.
long as we get your office cleared out. I know what you're going through.
Have you
My
had
office
any,
is worse, so.
excuse me, have you had any calls come in to complain about they didn't want to see the records destroyed either? Some of the receipts or whatever, that they didn't approve of this either?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Did you have any people call in to object to this proposal that you want to?
No. I mean, I read this at the last meeting, and nobody, Glenn,
My wife did.
Yeah, you did have
My
one.
wife called you and told you we wouldn't be dismissing any records at this time.
Yep.
And you said
she
you
asked about legal and
Oh,
insurance.
it's all
No.
legal, it's all legal.
Yeah.
These are check stubs, and
Yeah,
Vendor
no, see, I already
invoices.
said that there were 30-some checks that
that's
weren't,
fine.
that weren't there.
We have-
Where did they go?
Put them upstairs at this time, that's what I would say.
Brian discussed it with you.
30 checks. When-
There were
when I
some,
was-
I'd have to put,
Yes.
no, it wasn't when you were here, I think it was prior.
No.
Well, no, see,
Yeah.
there's a manual that says how long these things have to be kept.
Yeah,
I
but
can't
I'm-
throw away last year or even the
No,
year before.
and I
I
don't,
mean, 2008,
if you can put them up
that's fine.
and make other people happy, and you get the room the way you want it,
That's fine.
I
have
can't
no
see any problem with it.
That's no problem.
Driveway committee goes forward, if you want to read your motion, if you want to do it.
Okay.
So, all right, so,
Go ahead.
I tell you what, at this point until, let's say, until the next month, month, if that's okay. Then what we'll do is, when Glenn's here, if that's okay.
Hey.
Because you're just talking about getting rid of things that are like IRS records, you only have to keep them 7 years.
If I'm correct, excuse me, if I'm correct, Glenn didn't go for it last month.
Right.
He objected to it.
Oh, well, I would
We
just
take,
in table.
Yes, he did.
I don't know.
He just said that nobody objected.
there's, I just want to be clear, there is no underhanded thing on my part going on
We
here.
have
We're
no
not-
problem with you, Nanny.
None. The board did not prod me to do
We,
this.
hey, no, don't even go
Okay.
there.
I just
Yeah.
want everybody to know that.
Just for clarity, we tabled that. Is that
We
what you're
need to
saying?
get some boxes and put everything up.
Yeah, we'll just
Yes.
take it off.
I'll pick up some
I don't
boxes
have a
at
problem.
Office Max when I go down.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Make them up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, this is in reference to the driveway
Driveway committee
committee
proposed
proposed ordinance. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm making a motion that any Watts Township official that wishes to make a comment on the proposed driveway ordinance or any of its provision, do so in writing, so it can be given to the planning commission at the September 9th meeting.
I'm sorry. Did you use the word official?
The township officials, i.e. meaning township supervisors, Bob Hart, Jerry
Okay.
Spees, the township officials.
So any township official who wants to make a
Nick
comment.
wants to make a comment, if they want to bring comments forth, because I know I've talked to Jerry about a couple things that he wants to make comments
And
about.
what was that date?
The next September 9th, the planning commission meeting that's in September.
Why wasn't a motion like this made back when this was presented?
It's done, we're moving on.
No, this is a
No,
legitimate
we
question.
answered,
Because
Carl.
I want the scrutiny of
Whole
everyone
thing. We don't even
to have
have to do
him,
nothing with that.
have input with it. You know,
The
I
planning
want-
commission had input with it
The
for
whole way.
months.
I understand that.
Those were all public meetings.
They
This
will
is just more delaying tactics.
Say what you want.
Oh,
Well, I'm putting it
we're-
out there, yes. This is delaying tactics.
I do have a question on
I do too.
this. If our township officials, the 3 supervisors,
Right,
we'll say
And
a
Jerry.
secretary, okay?
yeah,
We have a zoning officer,
right,
we have an engineer.
yeah,
That's 6 people.
right.
Can we contact those 6 people and ask them to get their comments to the planning commission by next week?
No,
Jerry
No,
will be
no,
there,
I'll tell you
and this
what.
guy will be there.
Frank, number one, okay, you were one among the people who, along the planet with the planning commission, which are 5 people, Carl and Charlie and numerous other people told me to sign the original driveway ordinance amendment, right? Everyone said it was a great plan, no problem. I signed it. I'm the one who got lambasted with 100 people coming in, chewing me out because of something.
We're not even talking about that.
I'm gonna
You
the floor, okay? I've got-
wrote the
I've
amendment.
got the floor.
You wrote the amendment.
I didn't write it.
The one, are you talking about the one
I'm
that
not,
just
I'm
passed
talking,
May?
no, I'm talking about the one that was passed, that this,
2010.
There was no
2000
amendment. There
okay,
was.
the 2010 driveway.
It
right.
illegal.
What I'm talking about is, I was the one who was the bad guy, I was the one who was blamed for that. There was one word that was, if you want to call it, construction was the word, that was a big turmoil. Then I had spears practically pointed at me because that wasn't right, and then you folks ended up, the committee ended up coming against me and everything else. I'm not going to sign something that, or be responsible for signing something that I haven't scrutinized closely, that I have gotten comments from other people who have said there are things that need to be looked at and addressed. I'm just saying, and it's not happening again.
Yes.
Okay, I understand your point.
All right, and
My
the point is,
My point is that.
no, wait, I'm still not done. I'm gonna do like you do. I'm gonna, until I'm done. What happened was, at the planning commission meetings, this is all I'm gonna say then. Planning commission meetings, I started making comments periodically. Every time I made a comment, again, it was, I got lambasted. I thought, okay, fine. Not gonna make any comments at the planning commission meetings. I did not want to unduly influence the planning commission and the driveway ordinance people. I figured, okay, I'll let it up to them, let them hammer out whatever they want to. I have comments, I'm not gonna say anything until, I have to vote on this thing at some point, but I'm not gonna say anything, because obviously, there's a combination of not wanting my comments. I was willing to work with them on several scores. I, again, got
We
shot
wound
at.
up with a draft.
So we got, okay, so we got a draft, it got bantered back and forth. There are still comments that Jerry has on it. There are still comments that Glenn has on it, comments that I have on it. Those comments are going to be filtered
Right.
through and given to back to the planning commission. They can look at it, they can make, this is why I want the comments just from the people on the board and the township officials. It'll go back to the planning commission. They alone then, they alone can come up with what they think, what their version,
Okay, how long have you had this ordinance? How long have you had it in your hands? 3 months. 3 months it's been in your hands. If that wasn't time for you to look over it, then the next week ain't gonna do any better. Now you have 6 people, and you're proposing another month and a half. We're turning into the subdivision land development ordinance that's taken, what, 5 years now since we started it? I mean, seriously, you have 6 people that you need to contact. Every one of them has had that ordinance for 3 months.
Frank,
It's been available to you.
Frank, I have never
Did it
been
go?
given a copy
Okay.
as the latest
You
thing.
have nothing to do with the driveway ordinance.
I'm being asked to make
You
comments.
are now, but.
Have you asked for a
technically,
copy?
The zoning
Yeah.
officer should.
I'd give you one in a
involved with the
heartbeat. Stop by my house.
okay,
But
well,
there's 6
I made the motion.
I'm asking
Made the
why 6
motion
people
for
can't be
what?
contacted. I'm asking why 6 people can't be contacted and have their comments to the planning commission next week, when 3 of them are already gonna be at the
Something you
meeting.
wanted to speak on.
Me?
Oh, okay, I thought you had some things you wanted to add into
Well,
the.
go ahead. I'll watch your face.
Are you talking to Lee or talking to Philip?
I'm talking to Lee.
Oh, okay.
No, I had something I wanted to add on to the south.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It gets back to us, I understand it's coming back to us.
It'll come back to you, yeah. It'll
And
be
we're
coming.
gonna,
Right, then you can, whatever comments you folks have,
yeah, I
definitely.
have something that I think
Right.
definitely needs
Yep.
that.
Yep, and I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
guess you had
good.
a couple items you like it on there, and it should be, okay. Like, did you say you would?
I have a question. I live on Amity Road there, and you guys, a couple of years ago, you come through and put a ditch beside the driveway, between my driveway and the roadway, that culvert like little bit. Well, I need it to be filled in, because every time I go to pull in to get my mail on my motorcycle, I almost crash. And if I crash my motorcycle trying to get my mail because you guys put this freaking ditch at the end of my property, that's bull crap, okay?
What's
I've
your
been there.
address?
This isn't the first time I've been here about this. I've been about this about a couple of years ago, and you're the one that I talked to about it. You know? Yeah, well, I want it fixed. I want it
Okay,
fixed
we'll
properly.
grade it back to our right of way, and we'll fix it.
I want it level.
Okay.
If I have to drive out, I go through a ditch this deep every
Yeah,
day.
We're controlling the water to go down through there.
Well, you know, I never had a problem with water.
Okay.
Okay, Carl, I've got a
I
question
don't want
for
it to be
you.
blown off either. I want it fixed. I pay my taxes, I've been here 10 years, and I want it fixed, okay?
Okay.
Because if I crash my motorcycle, someone's gonna pay for it.
Open the bids for.
Just don't blow me up like I'm some stupid
I'm not
idiot.
blowing you up.
I've been here 40 years and I get close.
We'll grade it.
You figure it out.
Well, I want it fixed. I mean, I pay taxes, I pay my taxes every year.
He said it will be graded and it's.
Gotta get a time
What's
frame
his
for the poor
address?
I
guy.
want it graded right and put
He was here a
blacktop
year
back
ago.
in there.
Give the man a time
We
frame.
got it. I mean, it's.
His
Take
address.
over full of stones, Frank. I expect the water to run down. So we can
You
grade it.
said you're
back.
gonna fix it, what are you telling the man you're gonna do?
Yeah.
You're not saying you're gonna fix it, you're saying that you're gonna, what are you gonna do?
Put it back in the township ordinance.
We'll grade it back to our right of way. And then they can go, he has to take his part from there.
And plus,
Just
where
take
your
them
tax-
through and does that, you know what you do.
I got another problem, where your tractor tire blew a hole out the end of my driveway there, out the road there. The calcium that was in that tire,
Yeah.
I'm getting a pothole there now. I need that fixed.
Yeah, that's a big one, right up from my driveway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right out by yours.
Topsoil in
Oh,
my
yeah.
driveway.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Where he
look at it
lives.
tomorrow morning.
You'll see the-
Right
you'll
across
see
from
the
me, that
pothole
driveway's
start
right across from
about
mine.
Oh, okay.
10 inches round.
Yep.
Then you get bigger.
Okay, here,
Mm.
then they grade.
Yeah, I see him every time he pulls in to get his mail with that motorcycle.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I have a
Now,
comment.
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
John Heffenfinger. I can feel for this gentleman here because that long hill that comes down in front of my place, the township workers come down there with the grader and they graded that back. Then it created a ditch in there at least 5 inches deep. And that was like that until now they came along and they put the blacktop in there, which, hey, that's great. But it wouldn't have had to have that happen, Carl, because if they left the dang grass grow in there, it was controlling the erosion.
The state doesn't want the grass growing out to the road.
It wasn't on the road.
Argument's
was it?
over.
Yeah, that's
It's not a state
That's not a
road.
state road.
It's not a state road. They don't want the grass growing to any road. They want it run off. Been
Well,
so many
Trimmer wouldn't
meetings, he's
have
been
done
there.
that.
Frank has been in those meetings. The state wants that graded now. They don't want grass against your,
Well, here's another thing. They did not do some of the people's properties along there. It's whoever came out and was able to talk to them and say, I don't want you to do this.
I'm gonna get that.
So,
yeah.
So it's not
Well,
state or
we
not.
go to the seminars and they tell us what to do alongside the road. So we're trying to, open the bids for those cars.
I have a comment for the meetings of the minutes. I don't know whether it was 2 months ago because we missed last month. Pat had made a remark that the solicitor writes the ordinances. And Nancy, you had agreed with her at that time. And he doesn't write them. He oversees them and gives suggestions, but you are the ones that write them. And this time, we thought the public had an input in this, but we're getting squeezed out of that, too.
Squeeze out of what?
The attorney always does that.
This last
They
thing
provide,
with
like,
the
templates.
ordinance.
And yes, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times the solicitor does, because the supervisors don't have a lot of experience with some of these ordinances. So yes, the solicitor will provide basically a
A
draft.
guideline, but they write them,
Right.
correct?
They go through them and they add
Right.
or delete what they want.
But I
yes.
just wanted it for the minutes that the solicitor doesn't write the ordinances for a township. He
Right.
guidelines, and then the supervisors adopt them.
I opened the bid for the tar and chipping, and we only received one bid. This is for, let's see. It's from Hammaker, and the total bid for Mater Road is $19,269.60. Circle Road is $7,526.80. The bid combined is $26,796.40.
Okay, well, we're not gonna award that tonight anyways, that's just, okay,
Well,
I got-
Well, you kind of do, because I said that it would be awarded. You either need to
well, Glenn isn't here.
table it, well, you could table it for your meeting with your,
We're gonna have to table it till, we get Glenn.
so Carl, you're making a motion to table the bid until the special meeting.
When is this soon as that?
Pardon me?
We'll talk about that later, as to what the timing will be on everything. No, so we'll talk about that.
Do you second that motion to table this bid until that meeting?
That's,
Okay.
I mean, was there,
I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
is that something you want to confer with?
$1.55
I mean, yeah.
a square yard, which,
Yeah, it is.
We won't-
Oh, we'll bring it up.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, the planning commission report, we have
There's the revised edition that had come in today, right, for the Snyder plan. And that was given to Jerry, and then Lee had come in also, which, in fact, we'll get a copy of that to you tonight. Nancy has a copy of the revised edition for the Snyder plan.
You had
Oh,
questions?
when do we do
Questions?
Hey, when do we do this? Approve our over 1,000 hours put into
Is he
that.
building or is he selling
Mhm.
lots?
Huh?
Is he subdividing or is he building?
Subdivided.
Subdividing.
Okay, and days of final approval, this approval is October 7th.
Yep, yep.
On the planning commission, the plan that's in now, is that the Robert Snyder
Yeah.
plan? I think at the planning commission meeting afterwards, there was a question on how many buildings, dwellings actually, are on the new lot 11, the one that has the shed on it
Yeah.
in the back. And somebody claimed that there was 2 or 3 houses on that already. But other than the zoning officer, we have no other official who's, I guess, authorized to investigate that. So I don't know if the planning commission wants to ask that somebody check out and see how many houses are on that before the plan comes back to you. That was the discussion after the meeting last month. Somebody said there was either 2 or 3 houses already on that lot. And they want to get it approved for a separate lot, but you can only have one house on a lot.
Well, maybe
the
then,
zoning officer, I
Bob, you
believe,
want
has,
to go back there and check that out and see where we're at for right now, if he has that route, because you remember what he had 3 lots originally on that. And then, now whatever he's trying to do now, and his house is over there, but that's on another piece.
well, the house is on the piece that he wants to cut up now, and he's saying his house, plus there's an old house, plus somebody said there might be a trailer behind the shed that somebody's living in. So the question came up, how many buildings are on this lot?
Yeah, we have whatever he's
No way of knowing
on
without
that
the zoning
plan,
officer.
because the original was only three lots, I guess. And now we're going more on now.
So he can go check,
Yeah.
he can go check
Well,
that out.
You check that out and get back to us.
Excuse me, Linda
Yeah.
Heffenfinger, I have one more question, I think I'm finished. The stone that you've been using on the driveways or the roads and
Yeah.
whatever around here, did that come from the grant or something?
We
from-
submitted some stuff to them that they haven't given us nothing yet.
Carl, no you didn't.
Huh?
No you didn't.
Well, Jerry was working on that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have a thing right here from Neil that said that you
Well, then Jerry
never
didn't-
sent
Jerry
anything
didn't
in.
get it all to him. Okay.
And I'd appreciate it if you didn't pull our leg.
I'm not pulling
Just
your leg.
come
I'm just
straight
telling-
out and tell
telling
us
what-
you
I'm just
didn't
telling
do
you
it.
what demand's doing. So I'll go check it out for you, and I'll be back to you in the next 2 days.
Okay, because he said you didn't do it and it's too late to do anything now. We can't get any money till next year.
Well,
And you knew in plenty of time because our group
Those-
told you about it.
I know, we had the paperwork and it filled out.
Yes, you did.
Neil was supposed to, or Jerry had to give it to Neil. So that's what I was understanding. So, I don't know, and as far, what we're doing, we're not building a new road.
No, I'm not saying that. I
We
don't
can't
care.
get
That was
stones
money.
unless you build
I
a new
don't,
road.
it was money that we could have used in this township for whatever.
For that part, right?
You know, it just doesn't make any sense to let a grant go that you could have been
If you could
approved
have got
for.
money, right. I was under the impression that he was working on it, and that Neil was him.
Yes, and Neil talked to me. He said there was nothing turned in.
And
Nothing.
There.
I have it right here
Southwest.
if you want to see it.
I want to see it because I want some numbers on it. I'll make a phone call.
Yeah.
You should come in.
People in here.
Neil Mimes, right. You want this back, Linda?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, good enough. Yeah, well, I've got it right here. I mean, she got it. But we got some forms and Jerry, I thought we were working on it to get.
Well, you had told me when I asked you last time that they were done and you were taking care of it. That's when I thought,
It was-
it's in.
Well, it's great. I talked with Jerry about it. And he had the paperwork there and I thought it was him. Okay, you get a motion to approve the bills.
I'm
Anybody?
gonna check there.
Okay.
Huh? That'll be my first
What's
thing.
No, I don't have any.
That's right, you
We
can't
got
spend it.
capital, what, $6,112, right? I guess we should be getting another check from them, I guess. Right? Yes, one.
Oh, yeah, they're coming at the end of every month.
Anybody see anything on the bills?
I have three questions, I'm sorry. Check number 5688 Chase card says gas and coveralls. What did that?
What number, Frank?
5688, it's about a third of the way down. Gas and coveralls.
Yeah, those white suits put on them to the tar.
For the tar.
Yeah.
But we paid the guys for tar.
We paid them for clothing last year, we're not gonna pay them no more for clothing. We got those white,
So we paid them for clothes, and we also bought them white stuff.
we bought these,
Okay.
We paid them for clothes for 2014.
yes.
For the last year.
Yeah.
Now they're using the
So
white.
now they're gonna use the white coveralls, yeah.
Good.
The same.
9 loads of milling, where do we use those?
Yeah.
We use them underneath the roads and stuff over on Lowtown.
On Low Town. Down at the bottom, stone and coal patch, where do we use that?
We can use that on the side of the roads and go back. And that's about it.
On the berms.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, Bob,
Hmm?